So I know a lot of us have had a little bit of discussion about where grammar sort of appears in teaching today. A lot of people may not have seen it while they were out on their placement. Many of us maybe don't remember getting any sort of explicit grammar instruction in school. So we kind of have this preconceived notion that, we don't really teach grammar anymore. However, we are here to tell you that grammar is still a part of the curriculum, and it is still very important. So in the writing section of the Ontario Language Curriculum, grades 1 to 8, I'm a primary junior student, so bear with me. So in the writing section, expectation 3.5 is explicitly dedicated to grammar. And we'll look at that in a minute, but for now, we'll just look at some of the other expectations that sort of touch on grammar implicitly. Usually this has to do with style and sentence structure. It's for writing according to different forms or for different purposes. So say you wanted to write a very staccato type poem, you might use very simple sentence structure, very simple verbs, and maybe not a lot of adjectives and adverbs and whatnot, and then punctuation that would accentuate sort of staccato nature of the poem. So the cat sat on the bed. I went to the store. Very simple sort of sentences. Versus if you were going to write something that, like an academic writing or academic paper or whatnot, you might use more complex compound sentences and just more complex sentences in relation to grammar. So it really all depends on the purpose of your writing. So kind of sum it up here, grammar is a part of the literary toolkit that can be used in conjunction with other literary devices in order to give voice, feeling, form, style, depth, perspective, etc. into a piece of writing. So anyway, some of these implicit expectations in their curriculum. Oral expectation 1.8, identify points of view, so first, second, third person, that's a grammar convention. Clarity and coherence, this is extremely important. So communicate orally in a clear, coherent manner, presenting ideas, opinions, and information in a readily understandable form. So if we were to consider the quote-unquote sentence, I and my uncle goed get apples at store, versus my uncle and I went to go to the store to get apples, you can see that grammar and sentence structure really play an important role in our comprehension and fluency with language. Other expectations, appropriate language, elements of style, comparatives, maybe conjunctions, linking words, and whatnot. And then in the reading expectations, there are recognize a variety of organizational patterns in texts of different types. This is kind of further explained organizational pattern-wise in expectation 3.2 in reading unfamiliar words, where it mentions syntactics. So syntactics refers to language structure, word order, language patterns, punctuation, and then specifically cues that help reading strategies in this particular case. So we've discussed a lot in our early literacy class this particular sentence. Say a student saw the sentence, the ball rolled across the street, and the student could read the ball, and then they kind of hesitated on rolled, and they could read across the street. They would then reason and look at the word rolled and say, okay, well, maybe they recognize that it starts with the letter R. In which case, then the word probably isn't bounced. It's probably having to do with roll. But they know grammatically, tense-wise, that it's going to be an ED or a past tense verb. So the ball rolled across the street. So they can use syntactics and grammatical reasoning in order to decipher the sentence. So now we're going to get into the explicit grammar instructions that are in the written section of the the language curriculum. So they all start with student will use parts of speech appropriately to communicate their meaning clearly with focus on the use of, and then it goes into the specific things that students are required to know grammatically, and they increase in sort of complexity and difficulty and depth each year. Additionally, writing expectations having to do with preparing for revision, proofreading, and punctuation also touch on elements of grammar, perhaps a little more implicitly though. So instead of going through all of this and reading it all, where it won't stick, we're going to do a little grammar quiz to see what you know. So sorry, the smartboard was already on reveal, so I just hit everything again. But you're going to be broken up into different groups, and then we want you to brainstorm and talk amongst your group for a minute or so to see if you can come up with any or all words that could fit in the following categories. So just give us examples of common nouns, proper nouns, abstract nouns, and collective nouns. So that's asking for examples. If you know what any of those mean, just come up with a list of any of them. Group 2, you're going to be doing the same thing, examples of personal subject pronouns, personal object pronouns, possessive pronouns, indefinite pronouns, and relative pronouns. If you have any trouble understanding these ones, maybe put up your hand and we can give you a kind of a clue. Group 3, you're going to be defining subordinate clauses, aka dependent clauses, so that might kind of bring back something for some people. Conjunctions, just give examples of, and then define prepositions or prepositional phrases and provide examples. So if you can think of any, go for it. So in the event, this will take a couple minutes, but in the event that we need to eat up more time, I do have other slides that I could show that touch on other things within the curriculum. So there's a bit about adjectives, a bit about adverbs, and then subject-verb agreement and present and past participle. But I don't imagine we're going to need any additional information. So that's it.